And now to present our next Champion of the Public Interest Award, I have the pleasure of calling on someone who, as a Skadden Fellow at BPI, thought so much of our organization that he decided to stay. And that was almost 20 years ago, which I'm happy to say has been BPI's good fortune. Today, he leads our affordable housing program, and he does so with distinction. So please welcome BPI's Adam Gross.
Thanks, Hoy, and thanks to all of you for being here. I have 3 kids, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Though if she were here, I'm certain she'd want you all to know she's actually 7 and 11/12. And I hope I've learned a few things in my 26 and 11/12 cumulative years of parenting. One thing I know for sure is that kids aren't adults. No matter how wise or thoughtful or mature they may sometimes be, they're kids. They're more likely to take risks, they're more affected by peer pressure, and they're less able to think seriously about the future and weigh the consequences of their actions. And science now confirms that the parts of our brains that give us judgment and impulse control aren't fully developed until we're in our 20s. So we know kids will make bad decisions. But in some cases, Illinois law allows kids to be treated just like they're adults. In fact, in some cases, the law requires it. The Children and Family Justice Center at Northwestern Law School does extraordinary work to ensure that we treat children as children, to ensure that when kids make bad decisions, they don't have to pay for them for the rest of their lives. The center works with kids who have seen things no one, and certainly no kid, should ever see. Kids who've experienced things that no one, and certainly no kid, should ever experience. The center believes that these kids deserve a chance at redemption, and it fights hard to make sure they get it. The center represents kids in court, working to keep as many kids as possible out of a system that too often does a better job teaching them how to be criminals than how to lead more productive lives. The center also works to ensure that kids in the system and kids coming out of the system get the services they need to turn their lives around. Good evidence says that those services substantially reduce the likelihood that they'll wind up back in prison. And the center works creatively and relentlessly on policies and programs to make the system more effective and more just. For example, last year, the center was instrumental in getting a law passed that says that 17-year-olds charged with nonviolent felonies will be placed in the juvenile court system, a system that's much more likely to get them on and keep them on track. For all their good work last year, the center was one of a handful of organizations around the world to receive the MacArthur Foundation's Award for Creative and Effective Institutions. But folks at the center know we still have a long way to go. For example, there are thousands of people in Illinois in prisons who are serving life without parole, or the equivalent of life without parole, say a sentence of 120 years, for crimes they committed when they were kids. Thousands of people who will probably die in jail for things they did at an age when society rightly believed they weren't responsible enough to drive a car, or mature enough to see an R-rated movie, or forward-thinking enough to vote. So tonight, we celebrate how far the Children and Family Justice Center has brought us, and we look forward to the great work we know they will continue to do, leading us toward a juvenile justice system that is more just, more humane, and more effective. It's a privilege to present BPI's Champion of the Public Interest Award to the Children and Family Justice Center. I'd like to invite Julie Biehl, the center's director, up to accept the award.
Thank you, Adam, for that incredible introduction. And I think Adam should just wait until your children are 25, 23, and 19, like my children are, and you know that that brain development keeps going longer than the research tells you. I was instructed many times to keep my remarks to 2 minutes, and those who know me know that I don't follow any rules, but I'm so honored to be here tonight that I will follow this rule. So thank you on behalf of the CFJC for this tremendous honor. It is really a tremendous honor. And before I go any further, I'm just the figurehead. The people that really do the day in, day out work are the people that are sitting at table 2, and I really would like to acknowledge all of them. BPI, as of course all of you know, because I'm speaking to the BPI choir here, is the standard bearer, is the original public interest organization in Chicago. I actually studied you all in your work that you were doing when I was in law school, and Len Rabinowitz was my professor. And for the last 50 years, the BPI has established what is the gold standard for social justice advocacy. So indeed tonight, yes, we did get the Macy, which I'm very thankful for, but tonight is truly an honor for all of us because we're getting this award from an organizational colleague, from a fellow traveler, from a formidable social justice warrior, and so I thank you. Now, you've heard a lot from Adam about our work, and I thank you for that lovely introduction, but I want to also tell you that we have a lot more work to do. The work is not over, even though we've achieved quite a lot. In the next year, and maybe in the years and years to come, we will continue our advocacy to reform the juvenile justice system so that every child is treated as if he or she were one of our own children. And what does that actually mean? To me, it means replacing the current transfer system that we have in our state and in many states around the country, which gives the prosecutors complete and unreviewable power to consign children to criminal court, when that means that the penalties are extreme and lifelong. And with this scheme, we need to change it so that we require these transfer decisions to be made in a court, in front of a judge, where there's public defenders and state's attorneys, where there's evidence to make these decisions instead of them just being automatically sent there. And it also means reviving the mission of the Juvenile Court Act. We have the first juvenile court, I think many of you know, in the United States was here, so that children who make a mistake can move on, so they can go to school, so they can get a job, so that they can become tax-paying citizens and participate fully in our society. And how can we do that? Well, thank you. I agree with that too. And what are we working on specifically? We need to expunge their juvenile court records. We need to reduce mass incarceration, specifically and particularly of children of color. I've been to many of the prisons in our state, and it would break your hearts to walk around and see that, I mean, maybe it's 80%, I think it's more 90% of the children that we incarcerate in the state of Illinois and across the country are children of color. We need to invest in our communities and in our schools and in mentoring. That's what we need to do, and turn probation and parole away from a system of surveillance and in reincarceration, and make it into a system that we're actually supporting children. So as you can see, there is a lot of work that we, at this table number 2, are going to be doing for the next few years on behalf of young people in the city and in the state. And I want to welcome you all, if you have free time, to work with us to improve the quality of justice afforded to some of our most vulnerable citizens. Thank you. And we get a prize.
You get a prize, too. Julie, it's really a delight to be able to present you with our Champion of the Public Interest Award. The inscription on the award says, Children and Family Justice Center, Bluhm Legal Clinic, Northwestern University School of Law, in recognition of and appreciation for the center's innovative and effective efforts to secure justice for children, adolescents, and families through legal representation, policy advocacy, and law reform, and for its leadership in training and inspiring countless young lawyers and policy advocates to carry on the fight for justice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, will you take a picture?
Yes.
Oh, with both of you, okay.